So in this video we'll install the VMware Workstation and then the Windows Server 2012 R2. So as I am installing, I'll be explaining certain things, so you follow along. The VMware Workstation is the virtual environment where we'll install our operating systems, both for the server operating system and other client operating systems that we will install. It gives us the space on our laptop or computers where, instead of installing the server directly on our computers, we can have a software where we can install the operating systems into practice. That's the virtual environment. It behaves as if you've installed it on the physical device, but you didn't actually install it on the physical device. You installed it inside the VMware so that you can have that environment to practice whatever you want to practice. We'll touch virtualization more on during the second semester, so you will understand into deeper details what virtualization means and the types of virtualizations that we have. But for now, let's install the VMware and then let's install our server in and then have our basic practice. So you follow next, you read the terms and conditions. If you're okay with it, you accept it, and then you move on to next. Enhance keyboard. I do not want this because it will require a reboot to use this feature. Okay, but I will not reboot. You can, it's not a basic requirement for the software to work, so you can just skip it. Let's continue. So we are installing our VMware software now. I paused for the video for the software to complete its installation before I continue, just to save us time. So after it has finished installing, this is what you will see. You go to finish and then search for VM on your start button. You should see it. So this is what appears when you open the VMware. When you search it on your laptop, you should create a desktop shortcut or something for you. If you don't find it, you can search it here. We want to create a new virtual machine. So with this, we want to install the Server 2012 OS. So just go to create new virtual machine, use recommended, go to next, and then if you have the actual disk for the server, this is what you use. If you don't have a disk and you have the file on your computer, you have the disk image, you come to this section, you select this and you browse to the location where your file is. My file is on my USB drive, so I browse to the location and I select it. This is the Windows Server R2. I have it on my pen drive, so I will open it and then I will go to next. It will ask me for the product key. I don't have the product key. This is the version of Windows Server 2012 that I am installing. Notice some of you won't have it this way. Some of you go on through the installation before it will ask you to install the type of the version that you want, but this is how mine appears. we have data center core, the standard and the standard core. We've talked about this in class, what they do, their various functionalities, but we are using the data center core. No, not the data center core, the data center graphic user interface. Mine doesn't add graphic user interface, but it is graphic user interface because there's a distinction here. This is the data center core, so we are using the data center graphic user interface, that's the GUI. So we continue. This is where you choose the name for this operating system that you are installing. Maybe I will give it a name. Okay, Win server. You can choose any name. That will be the name that will appear in your virtual machine folder. So this is the name that I'll give to it. You go to next. This is where you select the maximum disk size for your virtual machine. I'll leave it at 60 and I'll leave these settings here. This is the space that your Windows Server 2012 R2 will take on your machine. So if you have less hard disk space, you keep it this way. It's also recommended that at least you give it at least 60 gigs. So if you have more space, you can go beyond, but this is at least the recommended disk space that you have to give it. You go to next. I would like us to change this NAT adapter setting here. So let's go to customize hardware and then come to NAT, and then instead of NAT we'll choose bridge. We want to emulate a physical connection of network, so that is why we want to do this bridge. The NAT will automatically give us IP from our host computer, which is our client operating system that is directly installed on our computers, but we want to emulate a physical network where we will do our own IP addressing. So let's go to close and then finish. So there we have our server installing. Again, I'll pause the video. So installation has begun. When it's complete, we'll resume our video. So after installation, you have something close to this. This is the menu for the VM. You can play with this and just see what happens when you do what. So these are the specifications for our VM. It's taking up 2 gig RAM. Hard disk is 60 GB, and all these parameters can be changed. So if you click on it, if you shut here, if you can even shut the PC down and make changes to this. So I've given by default it's allocated 2 gig RAM to your virtual machine here. If you have enough RAM, you can increase it to your desired number. Depends on the specification of your physical device. So by default, this is what's allocated. I think is enough. So these are things that you can change with regards to your server in the VMware. let's look at certain features within our server. Let's familiarize ourselves with the interface. So this is what we call the server manager, and here at the local, the dashboard, this dashboard shows you the kind of roles that your server has. By default, it has installed the file and storage service. We'll go on to install the DNS, the DHCP, and Active Directory in later videos. Let's explore the interface. This is the local server interface. It shows you a lot of things here: computer name, work group, firewall, a lot of things here. You take your time and then you go through. If there are some things that you don't understand, you can Google them. We will not have time to go through all, but these are very basic. We'll go through a few of them. This shows you all the servers that are installed within here. So if you have a group of servers, they will all appear here as and when you install them. Tools. This drop down shows you the things that are already here. So as and when you install new roles, their basic features are also added here. Manage, basically this is where this where you add roles and features, remove roles and features, add servers and all that. And this flag is an important plate as well. If you see a yellow danger sign here, it means it is requiring you to do something. When you click it and you read, at least you will understand what you have to do. So if you always see a danger sign here, just come and click. It will tell you what you have to do. So for now, let's go to the local server, and then in the production environment, at least your server should have a name. This name is Win7NKH. We don't know what it is. If you are working in a production environment, your server should have a name. Maybe server, maybe Accra server, or maybe file server, or Active Directory server, DNS, something. You should have a name that is recognizable when you log in remotely, that you will know that this is the name of my server. So you can change this name to any name that you want just by following what I'm doing. So I will just name it maybe demonstration server or something. It gives it a good name so that you can recognize it among groups of servers. And then I will change it. Okay, we still change. But I do not want to restart. Okay, so we would have to restart before it takes effect. So we'll restart. I'll pause the video, and then the restart will take place. So after you have restarted your PC, the name that you changed to should appear here. Now the next thing is work group. This workgroup tells us that our server is not joined to a domain now, so we would have to promote it to become a domain controller, but we are not there yet. What it means is that we are not joined to a domain yet. When we get to Active Directory, we'll get to understand the differences between the domain-based networking environment and the workgroup-based networking environment. But basically, for now, what you have to know is that for workgroup, all devices are working as standalone devices. They are not controlled by any centralized server. But if you join a domain, the domain environment is controlled by a centralized server, one server that controls all the devices that are on that network. So what we will achieve with this is to install Active Directory on this server and promote it to become a domain controller, which will control other devices on the network. But for now, we will leave it as such. You can explore these other features here. The next thing that we want to look at is to assign an IP address to our device, our server. That is why we learned IP addressing. So I will choose an IP address range. So you choose Internet Protocol version 4. I'll choose an IP address range of 192.168.1.0/24 address block, and I will assign IPs within that block. So in the future, the videos that will follow, when we install our client operating systems, I'll give them IP address within this block. That will help us to communicate between the server and the client operating system. So use IP address, the following IP address. You can choose whatever block that you want to use based on your understanding on it, and then you are good to go. Preferred DNS server. This server will be our DNS, so it will have the same IP address of the server. So the DNS address is the same address as our server address, so we'll give it the same address, 168.1.1, and then we'll go to OK. And we are done assigning address. Let me refresh. It should change here. So this is the address of our server, which is the same address as our DNS server. So we'll go ahead to install the DNS role on this server so that this server can become a DNS server. So this is where we install roles. If you want to install roles, you come to add roles and features. Maybe you install the role that you don't want and you want to remove it. You come to remove roles and features. This tool section here, whatever role that you install, it will add additional features here. You see right now, if you click on tools, we don't have anything regarding DNS, but if we finish installing the DNS role, we will have the DNS here to work with. So here to this flag button, it shows us what we are doing, and it gives us information on what we are doing, and then danger, and then maybe informational stuff that will come here. So anytime you see something here, you just have to come and read and see what the server is saying. It can help you to troubleshoot your server or give you additional information on what to do. So we'll go to manage roles, manage, and then so you have to take note of whatever that we are doing in adding roles and features, where we'll go, and anything that we'll be doing, just have a procedural understanding of whatever that we have been doing. That is the essence of practical, so that you'll be able to do it and you'll be able to articulate it when the need arises. So add roles and features. We are adding our DNS server. We have given our server an IP address. We have stated the IP address of the DNS server. Now we want to install the DNS role onto our server, so that our server can act as a DNS server. You should be reading some of these things I've read, so I know what it is. We are doing a role-based or feature-based installation. We are not installing remotely, so we choose this option. And here there will be a list of servers. You choose the server that belongs to you, and then you do your installation. So this is the name of my server, the demonstrator server. That is where I want to install the DNS on. And these are the roles that you can find in Windows Server 2012 R2, and we'll be looking at some of them this semester: the DNS, the DHCP, Active Directory. Next semester we'll go ahead to look at some others here. Now we want to install the DNS server, so you click in that checkbox, you add the feature, you go to continue, and then you see some of these things that there were things that were the pop-up window had some information. You should read them. If you don't understand anything, you Google it, or you go back to see if you are making a mistake and all that. But basically you have to read, so that at least you get a broader understanding of whatever is happening. So I'll go to next, then next, and then I will install. I'll pause the video so that it can finish. So our DNS role feature is installed. We can see that we have a new information here. When you click on it, it tells you installation succeeded on demonstrator server. That's our server. If you come to dashboard, you see that the DNS role has been installed. If you come to tools, you see that it's been added here. So we are done with the basics of what we need. We learned how to install the VM, the Windows Server operating system. We gave it an IP address, and then we have as well installed the DNS role on the server. So we'll end the video here. In the next video, we will go into the details of DNS configuration, but we can click this one, the DNS here. This is where we'll be doing our DNS configurations. We'll be looking at the primary zones, the secondary zones, the stub zones, the Active Directory integrated zones. But after installing the DNS, this is what you have. We've talked about all these in class: the root hints, what they are, forward lookup zones, reverse lookup zone. So within a forward lookup zone, we'll have the primary, the secondary, we can have the stub, Active Directory integrated zone. With the reverse, we can have all these as well. So we'll be delving deeper into the DNS configurations in the videos that will be following.